Alright, in this tutorial I'm going to show you guys how you use the 3D effects tool in Adobe Illustrator. And we're going to start off just by kind of clarifying that most times graphic designers are going to use it for logos and things like that. They'll use it on text, but you can also do it for shapes, whether it's a standard shape that you create or a custom shape that you create. And you can also use effects to these as well, like warp effects and stuff like that. I'll show you in a second. So first thing that you're going to do is type out, whatever word that you want to use. I recommend you got to use kind of bold fonts. If you use thin sort of fonts or really kind of scripty thin fonts, chancery fonts and stuff like that that have really thin ligatures in the lettering, then this effect you're not going to really see it too well. So it usually shows up better with bold text. Once you have your text typed out, you're going to then create a outline so it becomes graphics. Then you're going to go to Effects and you're going to select 3D, Extrude and Bevel. And if you don't see it by default, then you just want to make sure you check your preview for it. But this is pretty much it. With this, you can punch in the degrees that you want, or you can use the handy dandy cube here to position it however you want it to go. So you can increase how the thickness of it is by your extrude depth. By default it's going to be solid, but if you click that it makes it hollow all the way through, so it becomes framework. Under your surfaces, it usually by default is a what they call plastic shading. But you have options where, for some reason, if you wanted it no shading to it or wireframe to it, you can select those, or you can soften the shading to it. But we'll go with plastic. Your light intensity is how bright it's going to be. Ambient light, you start lowering this. You start reducing a lot of your shadows. The shading color is usually black from your base gradient based off of your fill color, but you can set it to none. Or you could set it to a custom color of your choice. And once you have it all set up, the way you want it, you can go ahead and click OK. And as I was saying before, you can sometimes use some of the warp effects on it as well. And let's go ahead and cancel all that. But once you have it all kind of set up, you can see that it's still kind of grouped together as your text. You're going to want to go to Expand Appearance. And then once you have Expand Appearance, you could actually then come in and you could select, like say the fronts of these. And I could fill those with white if I wanted. However, or I could select whatever this color is here in the background and drag it into my swatch palette, and then I can select those fronts again. I'm going to select them to that color in the background. Whoops. And set the stroke to the color of the background so it kind of blends it in. And as I was saying, you can also do this with shapes. So again, I can draw whatever shape that I want. Go to 3D, Extrude and Bevel, and I can rotate it however I want. I might try to darken that shadow a little bit more. So I'll click on the color swatch. So it gets a little more darker. I can also bevel them. I can do this with the text as well, where I can put like a little bevel, and I can control how thick the bevel is. I can put the bevel to the outside, but by default it's usually to the inside. And you can create a variety of different sort of beveling effects. You just kind of scroll through whatever it is that you want. But you kind of just select the bevel that you want and click OK, and then just like with our text, I'm going to go to expand its appearance so it becomes graphic. And yeah, now it's a graphic however I want it to be. And I can select it all, and we can go back to 3D, and you can take the 3D effect and you can rotate around these things, so you can still rotate them even further. Usually, as you can see here, it takes a little memory to do that and a little RAM to do that, but it can be done. So the idea, though, generally speaking, is that you have your effect already set up, and then when you hit OK, you hit OK. I have some defaults of the rotation, so I can click on some of the presets to it, and it'll show you some of the presets for it. And these also work for your text as well. But you're generating you're making these files a lot bigger than they have to be at that point. But there you go. And this is how we use the rotation tool, the 3D tool, in Adobe Illustrator.